Good afternoon. This is Tanisha Laverne Grant with blackinamerica.com. I am super excited, just over the hills. I'm excited about my guest today, legendary icon. Um, if you don't know who Jermaine Dupri is, shame on you. I don't know what planet you're from if you don't know who Jermaine Dupri is, a legend and has produced some of the biggest acts that we have come of age on. Jermaine, how are you? I mean, like multi-award winning, you always have something going on. You came into the industry as a kid, you
Yeah.
know, as a kid and have had the opportunity to produce, I mean, Mariah Carey, Escape, Jagged Edge. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on for you. So coming into the business at such a young age, how did that impact you just in terms of being able to navigate, what I call, for lack of better terms, like the real world? I mean, you were a superstar young, young. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, at 17, you already had like two or three acts up under your belt that you were producing, Crisscross being one of them,
Yeah.
you know.
Really, it's something that you think about. I started thinking about this when I was young. So it's like if you start thinking about it at a younger age, you're prepared for it at a young age. Which I'm sure people like, excuse me, I'm sure people like, nah, it don't work like that. But it does really work like that. It works just like that. If you think about it at a young age, um, and start working at it at a young age, then you're preparing yourself to for the success of it at a young age. When I was 14, 15 years old, I started realizing like my time was running out as far as
Ooh,
um as far as me being a teenager. I wasn't gonna be teenager that much longer. So it was time for me to really, really start trying to get my hustle and what I was gonna do and what I wanted to do based on, like, because at 16, that's when you want a car, you want to start driving, you want to, most kids start working, uh, and most kids get a job at this point in time so they can have their own type of extra little money. And me being, my mother was a single mom household. I didn't. My father was around, but he didn't live with us at that point. So my mother basically was doing all of taking care of me and all of this. So it wasn't like I had money or anything like that. It was based on like it was an idea that knowing that I'm getting ready to face this based on my condition, I need to start figuring it out. So that's really
wow.
what it's like really based on exactly what's getting ready to happen in your life. You just
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
start thinking about
What I love most about just, learning about who you are and just watching the evolution of your career, what there's an old saying that goes, we're not an age, we're an energy,
it.
you know, and ready is ready. Do you know what I mean? Ready is ready. And when you think about, your life, ready is ready. I mean, you've been on a stage with Diana Ross. And once somebody has been on stage with Diana Ross, I think you're pretty much marked for success. Talk about how that moment happened. I know you were at a concert with your mom,
Yeah.
and she had told you, stay in the seat, don't move. And then the next thing you know, you end up on stage with Diana Ross, and that like spreads like, a little wildflower throughout Atlanta, like this young kid, blah, 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 blah. So talk about that and how that may have been the impetus, for what stardom was going to be like for you.
I mean, that's interesting that concert that a lot of people say is like, that was that you're destined from that point, but that was really like a fluke. It was a situation that was like, uh,
Wow. Well,
I
what a
was
fluke. What a
yeah, I
please,
was
what
told
can I have a fluke where I can be on
yeah,
stage with Diana Ross?
it was a total fluke. Like I was told to sit in my seat. My mother was going to the bathroom in the middle of a Diana Ross concert, and at the time my mother chose to do this, Diana Ross decided to bring all the kids from the audience on the stage.
Well, hold
Um,
up, time out, Jermaine. Like this Diana Ross concert, was this the 1983 tour?
I'm guessing, yeah, somewhere around in there. Well,
Yeah.
it couldn't have been 83. It had
No?
to be, nah, because I went on tour. I went on the Fresh Fest in 83. So I was 12 in 83. So it
Oh,
had to
okay.
be, yeah, it had to be 2 years to 3 years before this.
Okay, because I remember that 1983 tour when she came to Philly, which is where I'm from. And I just remember begging my parents, and I was in elementary school, and I was just like, take me to see Diana Ross, or it's going to be the fall of civilization. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
was
I
just
think this
wondering if it was
80,
around that time.
yeah, 83 probably would have, she probably still was touring because, like
Yeah,
she kind of
yeah,
stopped touring and then started doing like special shows. So I think this was when she was really heavily touring.
yeah.
And like I said, the interesting thing about it is I didn't even know like Diana Ross music like as a kid, right? I didn't. It's not. I mean, I went because it's something my mother wanted to go to, and I mean, you have to go because you're a kid and you go with your parents. So I
Right.
went to know Diana Ross music like that. I was just there, and I'm guessing that's a God's grooming really for me. Like he was just putting me in these places to watch, and just so I could have it in my spirit. But yeah, it was a total fluke. She asked for the kids to come on the stage, and and I was like, nah, I'm not gonna go. And the people around me, all other people that I didn't know, were like, go ahead, little boy, we'll tell your mom. We'll tell. I'm like, nah, you don't know my mom. You're not gonna tell my mom nothing. Like,
She would take the skin off your hide, boy. Take the skin off your hide.
yeah, you're not gonna tell my mom. Like, so I didn't. For a long time I didn't trust what the people were saying. So the whole activity was taking place, and all the kids in the auditorium was going on the stage, and I was the only one that didn't go when all the other kids went up there. So when all the kids got on stage dancing around, I still was like, yeah, no, I'm not going. And then something just said, Jermaine, go ahead. And all these people was telling me to go boy, go little boy, go ahead up there, little boy. And I was
Oh,
just
wow.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go. So when I chose to go, all of the other kids was already on the stage. So it felt like to Diana Ross, it made her make a statement about it. Like, who are you? What made you come? Who told you to come? What made you decide to come when you wanted to come? Like, are you just
Like a G.
yeah? Like, is it?
Like
Is
you
it? She
rolling
made a
up on
statement.
set
She made a
all
statement.
late.
Are you like the special person? Are you like the? What makes you come up here after everyone else? And I didn't really explain why. I just was like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I was a kid. I didn't know really what to say when she said it. And then at that point, she's like, well, what you gonna do when you get up here? And I started dancing. I don't even know what I was doing, but whatever I was doing, it made it look like I said, it made it look like I stole the show from all the rest of the kids.
Showstopper.
Yeah, something.
Showstopper. And that has pretty much become your what you've been. I mean, your whole career is based off of you being a legend. I mean, you have what we call the Midas touch. Everything you touch turns to gold, almost from literally out the gate, in discovering Crisscross. I had no idea, Jermaine, that there were 3 members of Crisscross at first, all named Chris.
Yeah. Well, it was a DJ. It wasn't really, like a member of the group. It was like, I was looking for a DJ because I wanted to have a small DJ, a young kid DJ as well. So I was looking for another kid DJ. And that just happened to be coincidental too, that his name was Chris. I wasn't looking for a Chris DJ. I was looking for a DJ. And I just happened to find another kid that fit with them named Chris. And I was like, oh, this is, so then it was like C Connection. That was the name of Crisscross in the beginning. It was called C Connection.
Wow. And where did you discover them? Like, how did that come to be? I mean, Crisscross was major. Like my little sister was like a Crisscross fanatic, like fanatic.
I discovered Crisscross at the mall. And they just looked like superstars to me. They looked like they had what they needed to be superstars.
They had the it factor. It factor. Either you got it or you don't.
They also had something that we hadn't seen in the industry. I had never seen it before, and I was just like, you guys got it. You guys have that thing that the industry needs at this time.
Now, Jermaine, God, it's just like this interview. There's so much. There's so much that I want to talk about. You guys, again, Tanish Laverne Grant, Black in America. I am speaking with the icon, multi-award winning producer and writer. You cannot be alive today and not know who Jermaine Dupri is. I mean, Left Eye. Jermaine, let's just talk about the amazing relationship you had with Left Eye. Lisa, she came into your life as Lisa from Philly, from my neck of the woods. You guys know I'm from outside of Philly, Chester, PA. We all knew Lisa coming through. If you partied in Philly, you knew Lisa, and so Lisa comes to Atlanta and she doesn't have a place to stay. She's an amazing singer, rapper, and she ends up staying with you. You guys are collaborating on a daily basis on, just pretty much how to be dope and how to be fly and how to be original. Talk about, your relationship with Lisa. I mean, we miss her so much. I mean, her spirit was just magnanimous. I mean, her death, shocked the world.
Yeah, I mean, Lisa's thing was pretty much, the beginning of her coming to Atlanta. I met her when she first came to Atlanta. She didn't have nowhere to stay. She basically was just like a kid just trying to find their way in the city. Some kind of way she met Ian Burke, who at that point told her that she probably, and I just realized recently why Ian brought her to me. And it's because I had a female rap group earlier. My first group that I put out was a female rap group called Silk Times Leather. And I couldn't really remember what was the reason and why Ian would have brought Lisa to me. But what he did was he saw the fact that I worked with female rappers before, and he found out she was a female rapper. So he was like, the person that I know that does female rappers in Atlanta is Jermaine. So that's the story that I've put together in my head. That might not be the truth, but he brought her to me, and he was like, she's from Philly, female, she could rap, you should check her out, blah, 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 like her energy. And the fact that I trusted Ian and him, doing stuff and moving around the city, he seemed like a guy that was really really patched in as far as moving around the city. So I trusted his eye and his ear. So I allowed her to come to my house. She came over, we hit it off. She was cool. And we just started talking and like visualizing what our future was going to be like. Neither one of us had popped at that time, although I did have Silk Times Leather. So I had a little bit of success as far as like probably the most success that you could have as a 16-year-old kid, right? I had a little bit of success. I had a little bit of money because I had made a little money off of the Silk Times Leather record. So my house seemed like the cool house to come to. And I seemed like the guy that was moving towards more success.
Absolutely.
I had Lisa in my house, and she was there, and we would talk about all kind of things. And then when I met Chris and Chris, I had this idea that, okay, I got this Left Eye girl, this girl rapper, and I got these kids, these two boys. Maybe I should do a song called where they arguing over her, so I could get everybody on the record together. That was my idea,
wow.
My vision that I was trying to come up with. So I sampled Michael Jackson's "The Girl Is Mine" record, and I made a record for Chris and Chris with Left Eye on the record, like a rap song.
I'm sorry, Jermaine. I'm so baffled at all the sampling that was happening back in the day, and wasn't nobody paying for them. Wasn't nobody paying for licensing on all those samples. I mean, that is just so crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, it never came. If it would have come out, they would have charged me though. If it would come out, I would have got charged because I was doing all this sampling on Crisscross Records, and once Crisscross came out and they became successful, I paid a lot of money to a lot of people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, definitely not get away.
I was reading these stories. I'm like, how are they getting all these samples? Like, how are they just tapping somebody else's work, and not paying that licensing?
Oh no, you definitely was gonna pay, but so I sampled that record, and I was trying to make a song called "The Girl Is Mine," where these two guys was arguing over this girl, and I was gonna try to introduce everybody at one time. That way, I could get all of them out. That didn't work. I didn't like the song. It was cool, but the song didn't, I never got the song to where I wanted the song to be at. And then I just continued to start more work with the guys. And I mean, Lisa was around. She stayed at my house. Basically stayed at my house, living at my house without my mother basically even knowing, because it was just felt like one long studio session. So
wow,
people spent the night. You really didn't pay no attention to it. But Lisa actually basically was almost living there. And then she would go work. She had this like little fake job at the airport.
I was gonna say I was gonna bring it up, but go ahead. I'm glad you brought up. Listen, Lisa is a Philly John. I know you know the word John in Philly, right? Like Philly John. So Jermaine, go ahead. Listen, I was gonna bring it up, but go ahead, Jermaine.
Yeah, so she had she really left my house every day like she had a job. But she really didn't have no job. She had this fake job that she would go to the airport and she would act as if she was one of these charity companies. She had a sign made and everything where people give you money to the charity. And
hustle.
The charity was fake, and she would come home every day with almost $500, $600, $700.
Only a Philly John, y'all. Only a Philly John. Only a Philly John.
When you say that, what does John mean? What does John mean?
Okay, so John, okay, and it's spelled Jawn. So a John has several different meanings. It almost means anything. But when you talk about, a woman being a Philly John, like, she's a woman who is about that life. She is a woman who is resourceful, who will do whatever she has to do, hopefully without compromising her health and integrity, to make sure she gets her dreams and her goals met. So it's just like, Lisa is a straight up Philly John. Are you looking the word up, Jermaine?
No, I'm listening to you. I need the definition of Philly John. That's
so that is like when you talk about like a woman being like a Philly John, or a John could be like an object, like, hand me the John, like, and everybody knows what you're talking about. Like if I'm sitting here and I'm doing my makeup, getting ready for like the show, and I got my assistant, and I'm like, I need that John right there. She inherently knows that I'm trying to get the makeup brush or whatever.
But is this like a side of town thing, or is it like a everybody in Philly says?
No, it's a Philly thing. It's a Philly thing.
I got a lot of friends from Philly. I actually did Criss Cross album in Philly.
Oh wow.
They recorded their record in Philly because Rough House Records is from Philly on Thursday.
Oh yeah. That would make that would make sense.
So I did their album at, I think it's called Third Street Studios. I know a lot about Philly, but that's what I'm saying. So that's why because it's funny to hear you. This is the first time somebody gave me an explanation or definition of it. But yeah, I've been in Philly since '92. I've been going to Philly, and I stayed in Philly I did Silk Tom's Leather record in Philly first.
Oh wow!
Then I went back to Philly in '92. I went to the After Midnight. I went to, I know about City Blue. I was on South Street every day at Iska Bibbles. Like,
not Iska Bibbles. Yeah, Iska Bibbles is a spot down on South Street. Okay, so you've been Ben. What I love, Jermaine, just about, again, learning who you are and, your drive and your ambition and your vision. And young people, you really need to listen to what I'm about to tell you. So Jermaine, worked his tail off and earned somewhere in the neighborhood of about $10,000 or $15,000 off of his first couple of acts that he worked with. And that was how he was able to purchase his equipment, So instead of like tricking his money off on, clothes and, trying to impress, young girls, he invested in himself. And that's just important for any artist, for any human being to really understand at any age, actually, and not just young people. Jermaine, what was it that was like driving you? Because that's just not something adults can't even say, I'm gonna take this 10 stacks, and do something that I know is going to benefit me for the long run, because they're too preoccupied with what their life is looking like for the optics.
The same thing that was my focus before I got the money. My focus before I got the money was to be a big time producer, be a big time songwriter. And when you don't
Mm.
make it all the way, but you make it halfway, you still have to finish your journey. So I knew that I wasn't where I needed to be. And I also knew that I made the first record. I made Silk Times Leather record without equipment. I was just talking to my friend Chad Elliott
Wow.
about this yesterday. We were so visually visionaries that we were making music without equipment. And I don't even think people don't even do that in this day and era. I don't think so. But I was making records where I would sit there and I would play music from on turntables, and I would say in my mind, when I get a sampler, I'm gonna sample this part. And I would tell him, like, yo, what's that part of the record you just played? Play that record again. And we would sit in front of a turntable and we would play records and we would talk to each other and we would talk about, yeah, that's that. We're gonna take that beat and we're gonna put that beat and we're gonna put this sample on top of it. We didn't even have machines. It was a vision in our mind in order to make records. We didn't have the equipment. I didn't have the equipment. I didn't have nothing like
Where there's a will, there's a way, people. Where there
yeah,
is a will, there is a way.
These kids have computers at like 9. My daughter had a computer when she was like almost 7 years old. I didn't have no access to a computer. I ain't had none of that stuff. So, and then music wasn't made on computers. You had to really have physical equipment. So it was just tough. Yeah, it was just tough for me to get that stuff. And I just was creating it in my mind. And when you're doing that, that's all you're thinking about. So the first money that I made, immediately, that's where the money that I knew what I wanted to buy. I didn't care about no clothes. I was just like, I wear the same clothes forever. I'm getting ready to just get this equipment.
Wow. What are some of the biggest, advances in technology that has made you a better producer? Like when you think about some of the earliest equipment that you first went out and bought with your first, $10,000 to $15,000, versus like what you're using today to, mix sound, or, I've never been inside of a producer's booth. I'm so like fascinated by that because it's like a submarine, almost, it's dark. It has all these buttons or whatever. I'm like, I'm dying to get in one. My cousin, Kenny, who is one of the baddest DJs, back home. I know when we were kids, he turned his bedroom into like a DJ booth, sound booth, like engineering. I used to go in there and try and mix master, like the beat goes on and all that shit, but it just wasn't working out. He used to kill me too, like, don't touch my stuff. Yeah. So, back to my question, like when you think about some of the advances in technology, what are some of the things that, are benefiting you now that you were like, dang, if I'd have had this back in the day?
Nothing, because like I said, I was creating without anything. So I never was, I never got to that space where something came along and it made me better. I always was thinking of doing stuff that couldn't be done anyway. So the equipment had to catch up with my mind because I was doing stuff in my mind and doing stuff in my head that people that had equipment didn't even understand. They weren't even understanding what I was talking about. Like when I was first making records, if the people that I was telling to do the stuff I was asking them to do, if they would have done what I was asking them, I would have been more popular at a way younger age. Like I would have popped off at a younger age as being just like one of the first people to do stuff. And thank God that Joe Nicolo from Philly paid attention to me, and he actually was the guy that was like, Jermaine, he was listening to what my ideas, and he would help me bring my ideas to life. And that's what happened with the Crisscross record.
Wow, like I said.
That's what happened with the Silk Times Leather record. I'm sorry. Silk Times Leather record is he helped me make the Silk Times Leather record. And then after that, he signed Crisscross because he thought that I was, he saw what my potential was with the Silk Times Leather record.
Oh, wow. So we got to talk about like Escape, one of my favorite groups ever. Jermaine, that song, Just Kick It, that song was a problem. One of my favorite songs. I love it. But dude, all of a sudden, men just wanted to just kick it. I was like, yo, what is that? Like, listen, what is kick it? Like, no, guys didn't want to like really date and court. It's already hard enough, getting a man to like, lean in and date and pursue. And then, here you come with just kick it. I mean, it was dope. I still love the song. But like, what was the impetus for that song? I mean, it's still like, you go online, you go to YouTube right now, and it's just like, how many views are on that puppy?
I mean, well,
I'm not a singer.
The beginning of, I think, females paying attention to what guys really, really wanted, like, as opposed to like this idea that, because I felt like when I wrote that song for a minute that females didn't understand guys. And guys didn't understand females either, but at the same time, more or less, females didn't understand guys. And how guys don't, the girl that guys really wanted to around them and the girl that guys wanted to keep around them. It was two different people, and those are still two different people. It's girls that are beautiful and they this, that, and the third, they buy, but at the same time, they don't know how to kick it, and they ain't cool. And you can still hear fellas say this, like, man, I ain't, she dope, but she ain't cool. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it's still a separation, but that was like the beginning of me noticing it. Like I said, I had heard guys say this, so and that's how I wrote the song. I wrote the song from a male's perspective, so that she said, every man wants a woman. That's how the lyrics started. Every man wants a girl that, you know what I mean? So it was like, I know what men want, so I'm gonna tell you what the man want. Ladies, every man wants a woman that can kick him up a good meal, a woman that can cheat. You know what I mean? Like, the girl was speaking from a male's perspective.
Listen, y'all still got to date and pursue. Like, I get it. You want a woman who can just do levels. You know what I mean? Because a woman, like, I want a man who can do levels too. Like, I'm from the city. You know, I grew up in the projects. So it's just like, I want to be able to, like, go to these these big award shows that I hang out and go to. But then if I want a cheesesteak from Ishka Bibbles and I want to stand outside and then eat it, like, we can do that too. So I totally get it.
It sounds cool and it sounds regular and normal, but it's not. You'll be surprised. If people know, it's not a normal thing to find people that fit both spaces.
Wow. Well, I don't have a whole lot of time left, so I want to just fast forward to just, today. I know you are working with, legendary, iconic singer-songwriter, like I don't know how many nominations Anthony Hamilton has. I think maybe 17, 19 is won for a collaboration. You guys are in the studio right now and working on a new Anthony Hamilton album. Like, how is that coming along, and when can we expect that to drop?
Well, we actually changed the idea of what we were going to do. I started about a week ago or 2 weeks ago working on Anthony's project. But when I started filming and started showing the actual creation of the project in the studio, the comments and stuff that I saw was people actually excited about us working together and excited about the collaboration of us. A lot of people don't know that I signed Anthony Hamilton in the first place. Like, Anthony Hamilton is a So Def alumni, and the reason that you know him is because of me. So those that do know this were like,
he was sitting for a long time. I said he was signed with a few different labels, right? And they were just pretty much had him sitting and wasn't really nothing happening. Wasn't it like a Grammy brunch or something?
Yes. My father saw him at the Grammy brunch, and he introduced him to me from the Grammy brunch. And at that point, that's when I signed him, and I was like, let's do this. It's not going, I see exactly what we should do with this. So long story short, these guys, all these kids, that saw my post, they started saying, oh, we're so excited about you and Anthony getting back together and this reunion. And I'm like, reunion? And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not looking at this the way other people are looking at it. So then I just took a closer look at it, and I said, you know what? We should give them what they're asking for. They're asking for a reunion. They're asking for us being together. They're asking for that synergy. So we decided to make an album, basically Jermaine Dupri and Anthony Hamilton record. This is an exclusive, by the way, because I haven't told the fans yet that this is happening.
Yes. Yes, for the exclusive. That's going to be amazing. I've been following you guys on social media, and watching your sessions. And I just love, I mean, that's one thing I do love about the social media component, because it just brings you right there. It brings you right there. So
Yeah.
when you're working with somebody like Anthony Hamilton, and you guys like hit that patch where, you feel like he's not giving you, everything that you need to really execute like your vision for a song, like how do you guys work through that?
Yeah, I don't think that won't happen with an artist like Anthony Hamilton. It might happen with other artists, but not Anthony. Anthony's, you're gonna get you're gonna get more than
What
you
you
ever
get.
you're gonna get more than you ever thought you was gonna get, and you're gonna get what you didn't expect to get from him. He's a real true artist, and that was one of the reasons why I signed him. I felt like nobody had an artist like Anthony Hamilton,
Yeah.
and things that that I prided in, that I had pride in as a record man, like signing artists that nobody else had, and at the time, nobody else had an Anthony Hamilton, as far as I'm concerned. Nobody
I
still.
mean, he's unrepeatable. There isn't anyone who sounds like him.
Yeah, so I felt like, look at the artist that I'm signing. He sounds, look at Criss Cross, look at Bow Wow, look at the Brat, look at Escape, look at these people. They're creatively different than anything else that other people are signing, and that's basically how I wanted my life to be looked at. But a lot of people, they overlook that. They don't look at it. They compare these artists to other people, as opposed to like saying Anthony Hamilton is different.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, his music is a healing balm. I had the opportunity to interview him a couple months back, and his voice, like I said, is unrepeatable. The first time I heard his voice, I'm like, wow, this guy he put me right in the mind of like Sam Cooke and Bill Withers. And, you don't even hear that. I can't think of anybody coming up behind our generation who even remotely has that deep, soulful sound. It's amazing. So when can we expect the project to drop? Like, when will it be available?
It's the first of the year record. You know what I mean? It's the first of the year record. We hope to have the first single out, soon as everybody's back moving around after Christmas and New Year's.
I know. I'm in LA, and they put us on another lockdown out here with this COVID. Like, they like 3 more weeks. Y'all not going anywhere. Figure it out.
So after New Year's, hopefully, first of the year, we have a new positive energy and all of this type of stuff. Hopefully we had this music to go along with that.
Yeah, we definitely need it. Jermaine, just really quickly, what do you think is one of the biggest misnomers that young people make about being a producer and working in the industry? I mean, living in LA and coming from New York City, I meet young people all the time. I'm a producer. I'm going to be the next Jermaine Dupri and Quincy Jones and this person. Like, what do you think? Like, what's the break? Like, what do you think they're not getting?
I don't think they understand how much work goes into it to be, like I was telling people this the other day, my parameters is different than a lot of people. If you feel like you're going to be the next Jermaine Dupri and you're 20 years old, you're too late. If you think you're going to be the next Jermaine Dupri and you're 19, you're too late. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's like that. It's people don't even think about that. Right. And I'm not saying it to stun nobody. I'm saying it to literally that you
put your work in.
Yeah. At 17, I had sold 8 million records. By the time Criss Cross came out by the time Criss Cross was like what people know Criss Cross to be, I was 19. So before I became 21 years old, I was already a millionaire. And
brother wasn't even old enough to drink.
Yeah, I wasn't even old enough to drink.
Wasn't even old enough to drink.
Yeah. So I think that that's the thing. Like, people don't. You gotta work. Your work ethic has to be different. And then a lot of people like Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones is my idol, and his story often frustrates me because I never actually traveled the half of the path that he did. Like, Quincy Jones left Chicago and moved to Paris.
Yeah.
To pursue jazz, right? Just think about that, leaving Chicago and moving to Paris, right? I never even thought about leaving Atlanta, to go
Wow.
somewhere foreign, much less another city, but leaving the United States to move to a foreign state and become successful in a country, not state, a foreign country, and then come back to the United States and continue to do what you're doing. His journey is just different, and his parameters, like I said, the people's parameters is just different. I could never be Quincy Jones because I haven't ever done any of that. I've never
Right.
left the state to go be successful in another country, right? So I could have the accolades, but I don't think it'll ever match up because he walks a different path. And I think that's what people don't understand. Like you can't wake up one morning and say, I'm gonna be Muhammad Ali. You gotta
Yeah.
walk that
You
path.
got to be you. You
If
got
you
to be
walk that
you.
path, then you can say that. But if you ain't walking that path, you gotta make it for yourself.
There you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, the iconic Jermaine Dupri, legendary producer, whose music is the soundtrack to all of our lives. Jermaine, thank you so much for your time today. Continued blessings and success, and Merry Christmas to you. And I cannot wait for this Anthony Hamilton and Jermaine Dupri project. I know it's going to be out of this world. Take care, my love. Bye-bye.